What is going on, Laker fans? We're going to try to get one of these in here real quick. Did not record right after the game, so I'm recording now. Still late, probably about midnight or so. Going to hammer one of these out real quick. Post-game show after the post-game show. And unfortunately, Laker fans, not that much different of a result than we had on Thursday night against the Dallas Mavericks. So, got a few things I want to get into here real quick. Number one, thank you for being a part of the show. Please subscribe to the channel if you're a fan of the channel. If you're a fan of my work, I would greatly appreciate you guys subscribing to the channel. Obviously, always means a lot. Okay, so a few things we'll get into, and then we'll call it a night. I'm going to talk a little bit, of course, about the final possession of the Lakers. They lose again. They lose by one. I don't know what they're doing at the end. I really don't. I don't have a. I wish I was a little bit more positive in this video, but I do not have much of a solution on what's going down here in these last couple of games. That's number one. Number two, I'll kind of try to put things in perspective that the Lakers have lost 2 games in a row, but look who they've lost to. That these are 2 playoff teams. They're doing it without Anthony Davis. Take a look at the NBA standings for a quick second. Kind of look at where the Lakers go from here. And I know this is going to sound a little stupid, but is tomorrow kind of a must win against the Houston Rockets? You're 5 games below 500. So we'll get into all that. Okay, real quick here. 113, 112. Lakers are coming off a game. This was, let's see, how long ago was this? Thursday night. Lakers are coming off a game where I was very critical of Lakers head coach Darvin Ham of not fouling Luka at the end of that game in regulation. I thought if they fouled, they just increased the likelihood of winning that game. I got no other way to put it. That's just, my thoughts, my opinion on that. I think you got a good shot of coming out with a W if you foul Luka in that position. Lakers didn't do it. Lakers didn't send a double team. And Luka did what great players do. They like those moments. They like those situations. And they make you pay for it. Luka did. Lakers lost to the Dallas Mavericks. Tonight, you kind of got a back and forth battle between the Sixers. Listen, Joel Embiid, James Harden, Tobias Harris, everyone pretty much playing for the Sixers. It's not an easy game. If there was one advantage that the Lakers had is the Sixers played in Utah last night, 1-1, by the way, and had to travel to LA after and, obviously play back-to-back. Lakers well rested. It's 113, 112. Lakers get a stop. Embiid takes a shot, and I think Russ rebounded it. And they decide with 2 timeouts left, they're not going to take a timeout. They're going to not give Philly a chance to kind of get into any set or anything along those lines. And they're just going to go straight to work, try to go get a bucket, and walk away with a win. So let me first set up for you where both players are in this game. First off, Russ was having a good game. Russ had 20 points, 11 assists, and 14 rebounds. He had another triple-double off the bench. And it didn't take him 25 shots to get there. He shot 14 times, 7 of 14 from the field. If you told me this is Russ's stat line on a night, I'm going to tell you, damn, that's a great night for Russ off the bench. 34 minutes of play, 20, 14, and 11, 7 of 14 from the field. Take that all day, as any Laker fan would. That's a great stat line. So Russ has got the ball coming down, and the Lakers decide not to call a timeout. Now, let me tell you, I'm not fully against just running a play. If the squad knows what to do in that situation, if this is something that you guys practice all the time and you say to yourself, hey, we got a real advantage if we're ever in a predicament or a situation like this where the game is tied or we're down by 1 and we're winding down the clock, this is the final possession of the game, here's what we're going to do. And if they got a plan, then I'm okay with it. It's all good. Russ starts dribbling the ball down the floor. The first problem right out the gate is Embiid is on him. Now, some people would say, yeah, it's Joel Embiid. Russ, go right at him. I don't look at it that way. I think Embiid is a fantastic defender, and he's just a huge dude. Um, Russ is obviously has his limitations on the offensive side, so let's not pretend like Russ is, Kobe or something along those lines. Russ takes a 15, 18-foot jumper contested with a Joel Embiid. I'd call that a bad shot. I would say, okay, hey, that's good defense on the other side. So right out the gate, Russ is dribbling the ball up the floor, and Embiid has him. And in my head, it's like, okay, well, this isn't off to a good start. At that point, and then Russ even, he kind of starts going into a move and he loses control of the ball. At one of those points, if I'm Lakers head coach Darvin Ham, I might have had something in my mind as Russ grabbed the rebound and started going down the other way. But clearly, it's not going as planned. I don't want Russ to go one-on-one against Embiid. Russ is fumbling the ball and the clock is ticking. Let's reorganize here. Let me use one of those timeouts. Okay, obviously he didn't do that, and Russ said post game show that Embiid grabbed his hand. He couldn't really do anything, and I think somebody had put up a screenshot showing it, and it looked like he's right that he did grab his hand. But I'm just gonna kind of, I think there's a couple different ways to look at it. I don't like the setup of that play from the beginning. If he was fouled, okay, then it's fair. He wants to make his case that he was fouled. But from the start, the setup was not a good setup for the Lakers. It was not a good setup for Russ. It was not a good setup for the final possession of the game. And when things started to look like they weren't going as planned, I would have liked the Lakers to abort mission, call a timeout, and regroup. Russ drives the ball to the basket. I don't know where he's going. I don't know if he's throwing a pass, a shot, whatever he's doing. But basically, the ball just hits the rim, and that's the ball game. Lakers have lost 3 games in a row. For me, it's 2 games in a row that I'd like to see Darvin Ham take more control of the end of the game. A lot of times we see players that go out there and the player wins you a game. What we don't talk a lot about is when coaches win you a game, that coaches put their players in a good position to go get a W. And I'm a firm believer that Darvin Ham has got all the capability in the world to do that. But I think he's also really, really trying to show he's a player's coach, period. Used to be a player in the league. I think, one of the main reasons why the Lakers are even kind of hanging where they are is because Darvin Ham's got these guys playing tough. He's got them playing tough every single night. And I heard Darvin Ham post-game show really talking about, hey, I'll take that play any day of the week, twice on a Sunday, whatever the quote was, right? And he was talking specifically that it was Russ going up against a big man in Embiid and whatever the case is. Part of me thinks Darvin Ham says those things because he wants his players to know, I got your back. I don't want you to second guess anything that you have in mind. And I'm here, through the thick and the thin. I'm standing right here next to you. That part I respect, and I think there's a lot of players that respect that mentality or that belief in his players. But I'm going to go back to something I said a little bit earlier. Sometimes coaches got to be coaches. And sometimes what a player might want to do, that's why the coach is there, is to tell a player or to put a player in the best position possible to succeed. That's how I look at it. And that's, how I think that's a perfect, if you could find whatever perfect balance that is from a head coach perspective, where the philosophy is 100% you're taking care and you're breeding belief into your players, but then you're also saying, hey, I'm the head coach. I know what's best. That's what I'm hired to do. Let me take control of this situation or whatever the case is. Okay. So with that in mind, Bron doesn't touch the ball 35 points, 10 assists, and 8 rebounds, 15 to 23 from the field. For me, if Russ started doing something and there was nothing, cool, call timeout. But I would prefer Braun has the ball and Braun is making that decision of, hey, do I drive it? Do I pass it? Do I shoot it? And I'm not telling you that, I'm not telling you that there was a play to be had there and Lakers were going to win this game 114, 113, or they were going to hit a three at the buzzer 115, 113. But what I'm telling you is you got to get a better look. That's it. Sometimes you get the perfect look and the shot just doesn't fall. But you kind of say to yourself, all right, they got the shot that they were looking for. Lakers got an awful look. And that's the final possession of the game, and that can't happen. So for me, that was my frustration of that final play. That's my frustration in the last two games. And, certainly I think Coach Darvin Ham, at least for a stretch in two games, is partially to blame for those final possessions where I want to see him kind of take more control. Okay, so Laker fans, you guys want to put your comments on that, what you thought of the final play, what you wanted to see. Feel free to comment below. All right, that's number one. Another thing I want to kind of put into perspective, this is what sucks about losing these games for the Lakers. They're hanging with playoff teams without Austin Reeves, without Lonnie Walker, without Anthony Davis, and without Patrick Beverley. And that's pretty damn impressive. And what sucks about it is they're hanging with these teams. If the Lakers lost today by 10, I'd be like, all right, what are you going to do? They don't have Anthony Davis. Embiid's on the other side. Harden's on the other side. This, blah, 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 blah. But they're hanging with these squads, and they actually have chances to win. I could now name off 6 games this year for the Lakers where they had opportunities to win, and poor execution, missed free throws, just folding with a big lead, whatever the case is. It's adding up. These losses are adding up. And if you start looking at the NBA standings, it's definitely adding up and having its effect on, what the Lakers are hoping to accomplish. So with that said, Bron said this as well. He's like, look, those are good teams these last couple of nights. We're playing good basketball. We're just not closing. We're not executing at the end. He's right. That the fact that the Lakers are playing good basketball against playoff teams without Anthony Davis and Austin Reeves and everybody else, that part's impressive. But they've had chances to win the games, and I felt like the Dallas game, I don't got an excuse for you for. Tonight's game, I just want to see a better look. I just want to see more organization towards the end of the game, and then I'll take my chances, whatever that result is. But you got to at least get a better look than that. Can Braun touch the ball? Take the timeout if, Russ is trying to do something and it's not working. That's all that I would say about that. NBA standings, we're going the wrong way, Laker fans. We're going the wrong way right now. 19 and 24 are the Lakers. So Oklahoma City and Phoenix are in front of them. Utah's in the 10th spot. Portland, Golden State, Minnesota. And yes, you could say, hey, it's only a 2.5 games. Lakers only 2.5 games back and this and that. We could kind of keep saying that because there's a lot of average teams right now in the Western Conference. However, we're not helping ourselves because we're not winning any games. That's the issue. That's the problem. They're 8-8 since Anthony Davis went down with his injury, and they're on a 3-game losing streak. So if you'd have told me when AD went down that they were 8-8, I'd say sounds good. I'll sign up for it. But they're losing some games that they have chances to win, and they're not gaining any ground in the standings. They're actually starting to fall back. And we could kind of talk about how great it is that we're all still in the mix. But the reality is, if you can't take care of your own games, then you're never really going to gain ground. And that's, that's obviously another part of that frustration. Pre-game show today, I saw Anthony Davis. I posted on Twitter and Instagram at Alan Sliwa. By the way, follow me on Twitter and Instagram. If you guys don't follow me out there, I, obviously post up as much content as I can. But I saw Anthony Davis not warming up, but shooting around, I guess you can say. He's not sprinting and running, but he's also not stiff and not moving. So he's got some motion going. I thought it was a good sign that he was out there actively and trying to take some shots up and everything else, and kind of going through some of his own workout and some of his own shots and everything else that he does pregame. So that's a positive sign. Not sure when he's coming back, but the hope is obviously he comes back sooner than later. It's probably still a couple weeks, right? If you're non-contact and you're not running up and down the floor, it's probably still a couple weeks. And if it's a couple weeks, now we're looking at closer to February 1st, and from there, you're talking about another 8-10 games or so over the stretch. Lakers got a lot of games coming up here between now and the end of the month, so it's not going to get any easier. Frustrating couple of losses, and I know Laker fans were kind of all sitting here trying to. You've lost their last two games, one by 1 point and one in double overtime, and I felt like they could have won both of those games. So comments below. Appreciate you guys tuning in. I'll get back with you guys soon. Probably after the Rockets game tomorrow. We'll see. I got to see with kind of a crazy schedule right now, but we'll try to make it happen. Either way, I'll make sure to put up more content soon. Appreciate you guys tuning in, Laker fans. Thank you.